Hello everyone, Aya here, and this video is on aligning your body and mind using the 7 chakras and several principles of harmony from the Tao. So in this, I want you to come to a standing position. What this is going to offer you is a practice that you can do with you wherever you're at, just as you're standing, to check in with your mental emotional state. So we work through the chakras, and we're going to start with the first chakra, which is your root chakra, and it's related to the first zone in your body, which is your legs. And the whole principle here, the whole idea, is that we want harmony in our bodies, so this balance between yin and yang is achieved. So our harmonious first chakra is when we're stable and connected to the physical body, especially the legs and the lower body, and the connection to the earth. Because this chakra records to the physical body, it has to do with stillness. Not the busyness of the mind, the creation and the pure potential, but the rootedness in the present moment. We can assess this by standing. And an invitation to stand with your knees bent, shoulders, hips shoulder width apart, pardon me. And just assess if you're balanced on the 4 points of your feet. Are you someone who leans forwards, leans back, leans over to one side, locks up a knee, etc.? These all prevent the energy flow of your nervous system and that felt sense of feeling stable and connected into the body. Now, if you're really unstable, it indicates something may be off on the first chakra, and this could be mental, emotional. So this could be a feeling of instability. So if you were to read your bank account and all of a sudden you have a big bill and not a lot of money, your legs might feel weak in the knees. So there's things that happen in the body that accord with our mind and things we can check in on. If we're really feeling grounded and stable and secure in life, we'll feel really rooted and connected and capable of being in stillness. That's really key. Can you stand and just be stable in this moment without the mind always needing to obsessively move in? More on that in a little bit. And then with the legs, if they're feeling unbalanced, what you can do is you can go in all directions and teach yourself to reprogram where center is. So your nervous system, when used, can develop a pattern. So if we're always leaning forward, we're always walking forward in life and not taking the time to be in stillness, the nervous system's not going to remember where its center is. So what we can do is we can help the body find its center by moving in all the 4 directions and then coming back to a neutral position. Or another good one is to internally rotate everything so that the fascia twists. Hold here, breathe into the body for a few moments, and then externally rotate the whole lower extremities. Hold here, and then drop it down to reset the fascia. These maneuvers can be done in longer periods, but I'm just going to go over all the chakras so you get a sense for in your body. It's something that you can do wherever you're at to check in with these. The next one up is the sacral chakra. It has a lot to do with sexuality and our expression of emotions. So in this one, I really noticed that my emotional expression's off when my hips tighten up. There's a sense of tightness all in the fascia that connects my hips. So there's less movement here. So by moving the hips around, like hip circles, you can get a sense for this. Now, if you don't have a lot of embodied practices, you might not know what it feels like to be tight and to be loose. That's why this checking in process is important to do regularly through your embodied movement practices or in your day-to-day. And you'll fine-tune your awareness for when something's balanced and when something's off. So this is the art of balance. If something's excessively controlled or tight, it means there's restriction. It means there's something going on in the second chakra or emotionally where it's feeling tight and controlled so it doesn't just leak out and express. So an uncontrolled, the opposite way, second chakra would be if it's completely loose and relaxed and there's no sense of stability in the hips and they're all moving over and around. What we aim for is a capacity to be controlled in the middle, create rigidity or control and strength, and then have flexibility, mobility, and fluidity. So try some hip circles and just get a sense for it, how freely it feels to move this region of the body. Okay, and then as we move up, we're working with the same principle. We have the core now, the solar plexus. This accords to our sense of power and control. Now, the abdomen, once again, we want a capacity to have firmness, a capacity to have relaxation. You see this with some individuals. They have an excessively taut stomach. It's really muscular. They have extremely good control over their diet and a lot of personal power. Maybe they're extreme bodybuilder, they're pushed towards that anchor, and there's no capacity for them to let go of their diet and have just like a little bit of chocolate or ice cream, or just let go a little bit of that power, of that control. They're really tilted towards that side. On the other end of the spectrum, there's people who have no sense of control of their abdomen. It's just flabby and loose. There's no capacity to have control over their diet and their exercise. Once again, this Taoist principle of harmony is a capacity to have firmness, control of the belly, and also to have a level of letting go and to, eat those sweets once in a while and live in balance. An exercise you can do with this is a version of Agnisara, which is pull the belly in, relax the belly, push the belly out. Hold the belly in, relax the belly, push the belly out. So it's teaching us to pull in. We can also firm on that direction or soften on that direction. Relax the belly, let it be at ease. Push it out. We can also firm and soften. So by working the physical body, we're also helping to move the energy or the emotions that may be blocked in there. Because if there's an area that's really restricted, if there is excessive control here, there's typically something going on underneath. Why is there so much control over the body? Is this person seeking love in that way? That's maybe how they received it as a child, so they want to put out an image of how muscular and how pronounced their body is. Or on the other end, is this individual suffering a lot of challenging emotions that are building up in the solar plexus, and all this emotional energy, instead of being felt, is being avoided by excessively eating and just allowing everything to come out. So there's deeper things happening, but our body is the first level of assessment, and then working with the therapist or working with your own consciousness to determine what underlying issues are being represented in the physical body. As we go up to the heart, fourth chakra, we have the shoulders is a big one. The shoulders are excessively moving in rather than being at the sides. Then we know we have a behavior typically associated with giving more love, giving love than receiving love. So I worked in the care profession for over 10 years and I was giving, and I was hardly ever receiving for many years. So I'm still working with this, and what happens is as we give constantly, that emotion is, I'm giving you something, I'm giving love. The whole fascial system begins to become rigid and firm like this, and it prevents our capacity, my capacity, to actually receive love, because my whole chest and the whole structure of my body becomes guarded in this sense from my heart. It caves in too much so. So one of the therapeutic movements, just as we did with the legs, is we can do a big internal rotation, hold for a number of breaths till the fascia becomes a little bit more pliable, and then a large external rotation. The external rotation opens up the heart, and then a finding in the neutral position. Once again, holding these for at least 90 seconds or more. Working this, these are subtle movements you can do with you wherever you're at. You can do them while walking, while standing in the bank line, making sure the nervous system knows where its set point is, its balances. Okay, let's move up to the fifth chakra, so that's in the throat space. It accords with our sense of communicating and expressing. One way to check in with this, you can hold the throat, especially in the pit of the throat here. Take a big breath through the mouth and then exhale with complete ease. So that exhalation with ease means you take a big full inhale, about 2/3 in the belly, 1/3 in the heart, and then you relax as best as you can without creating sound, without controlling the breath in any way. And what this will determine, and you can get a sense for, is if the throat diaphragm is able to fully let go or relax. If you have a lot of control in the throat space, in the fifth chakra, it means there's an aspect that's not wanting to let go. Once again, it's yang, controlled. This control is often functional. It represents an individual who is controlling a part of their body in order to get something done. But flexibility in this area allows for more health, more harmony. What often happens is this area accords to when we want to control something top down, meaning our mind is controlling the body and the feeling. So people who have jobs who want to control their body, maybe they're at a desk all day and they're working. The body, in its wisdom, wants to get up and move. The heart wants to love and do all the things that heart and emotions wants to do. It wants to chase its dreams. But maybe you're stuck at a computer, so you're like, I gotta do this. Body, control. The throat is an area that like constricts and it keeps everything down, so we're just up here in the mind. Individuals like this get very stuck in their mind. It's hard for them to be in the body because during their day, they're so in the mind, they're so controlling, they're so detached from the authentic feelings of the body and its impulses that they become very head-centered in their consciousness and where they spend their time. Also, say you work a job and you work with people and you have a bunch of things coming up. Maybe you work with someone who's really frustrating and you're unable to express the anger you feel for them. So what you do is you hold it in. It wants to come up and it wants to come out, but you hold it in. So you close off the throat and you just keep it in here. You just hold it all in. Once again, this area of communication and expression is closed down, it's controlled for a functional reason. But our work is then to open it up when we can. When we go home, you sing and you release that. You get really honest with yourself. What are those emotions? And you find a way to express them. Maybe in a healthy manner in a martial art, or in the cold water where you can just scream and scream underwater. This is part of our self-regulation so that we can remain in balance, because if we keep that level of control and contraction, that'll begin to be a story that we live our life by. You know, on the weekends, we won't be able to fully relax and release and feel our bodies and be in touch with what we need to eat in our emotional center, because we've controlled it for so long. If we don't know how to let it go, we're just going to live our life like that. And that's a prison we set for ourselves. So mantras and singing exercises can help to release this area. If this is kind of your first embodied practice of really checking in with these, you may not know what it feels like to have a controlled throat and what it feels like to relax them. This is something that comes with embodied practices like breath work. And working one-on-one with someone like myself, I can see these things showing up in your breath and I can show them to you and on a much more individual and personal level. Okay? Now let's move up to the sixth chakra, the sixth zone of the body. So this is the head. Now as we move up in the chakras, they become less physical, so it's less obvious. In the legs, it's really obvious. If you're really ungrounded, you can look at somebody and they won't have a grounding. They won't have a connection down into the physical body. This accords to the mind up here. So the ideal mind is flexible in that we can use it to its yang capacity, which is a controlled mind, which is a tool, which is like a tunnel, like we call it tunnel vision, where you can focus the mind and then keep it focused on a given task or a given object, and it's not excessively distracted. That's a capacity to have a sharp mind and use it like a tool. But we don't just want that. Once again, some people have a military mind and it's just control. The inverse of that is parasympathetic or yin style, which is diffuse awareness. So this is not the spotlight vision. This is the panoramic awareness, diffuse awareness, and it accords to relaxation and an attending to the mind of everything around you. Once again, we don't just want this. We want a capacity to be at ease in our parasympathetic or relaxation nervous system, and then at will to be able to focus the mind and then keep it there, keep it focused. So an untrained mind is unable to either relax or to focus, and it's often busy with thoughts, uncontrolled. So depending on what your mind needs or what the given tasks are for your day, you may want to strengthen your mind. If you have a very focused day, you may want to exercise a meditation where you stare at a candle and you practice that focusing. The eyes and the mind are very much related. That's why I talked about the eyes and the vision, because where we direct our energy to, or where our attention goes, energy flows. And how we direct our energy is how the energy is going to flow. So that spotlight vision is directing the mind and its energy in a very particular way, and that's going to bring about qualities. And then the assessment there is, do I live most of my life in one way? So in meditation, there's two types. There's concentration and there's diffuse awareness. So this is strengthening those two opposite qualities of mind, and then creating flexibility, because there's all kinds of scenarios. You want to be able to work at work and maybe have the focused mind, depending on what you do. And then you want to be able to get off and just enjoy nature. Open up your peripheral vision and activate your parasympathetic. So that's a great way to tune into and to switch your mind between parasympathetic and sympathetic, is the types of vision, and to assess the sixth chakra, or these qualities of mind. The final one is the seventh chakra at the top of the crown, or even above the head. And this one relates to surrender. So how I'm going to talk about this one is, you have all these things in the body, all these imbalances, perhaps, like towards one way, towards another. There's all this balancing that happens. And this one is just surrendering to all of it and being absolutely okay with it. So maybe your shoulders are down, maybe you are to the side, maybe you have all this work to do to recorrect the physical body and the underlying emotions and the mental state and the overarching thing of what's going on in your life. Sure, that's all going to happen eventually. But can you surrender to everything going on and just be here regardless? Because yes, many practices like yoga and qigong and breathwork can help optimize the body and bring balance and good health. But are we ever going to get to perfect? Can we meet ourselves where we're at along the way? So when we check in with this center, an invitation to just be here now and surrender to what is. And this will develop you in a way to allow you to be fully present for your process. Because this is an evolutionary process and it's not going to happen so easily and so quickly. Possibly not in this lifetime, possibly not in a million lifetimes. Evolution keeps on growing. And we're always coming in and out of balance. It's like this ever teetering thing, right? So when we allow ourselves to just surrender into what is now and practice that, practice being just surrendered. I've had a very difficult few weeks on my body, and I just haven't had the time to rehabilitate it. And I know all the practices, but I just didn't have the time. So my practice was simply to be with the uncomfortable body, to be with the pain, and just be there for now and allow it to be okay. And through that, I developed a different strength, a very beautiful strength that is not taught so much, because the most challenging times in our life, we will need to surrender to things we cannot control. Everything below, we can do something about. But some of the biggest moments of your life, your death, a divorce, larger pieces of your life that are part of destiny, they're out of your control. And when we strengthen our capacity to surrender to what is, regardless of if we like it or if it's in an ideal position for this personal mind and body, we strengthen something that is very powerful, that can bring us through the most challenging times. So, take what you will from this. As you're standing, as you're walking, as you're doing your things, get an assessment of where your body's at. Your legs, your hips, your core, your heart, your throat, your mind, and your higher sense of being surrendered to this present moment experience. As you continue to work with this, and as I teach people in my coaching, you align yourself with your prayer, with your dream, with what you want out of this life, your purpose, and you structure your body in accordance with that, and you maintain that alignment, and that allows you to do your work in the best way.